Hello, today I'm going to be repotting some of my houseplants and I'm going to show you that process. So it's currently growing season, which occurs during spring and summer seasons. Generally when there's more daylight hours, this is the perfect time to repot any of your houseplants that need repotting, because when you repot plants, you want them to be able to grow into their new home so that they're really comfortable in their new space. So I'm going to show you the plants that I'm repotting today, and I'll point out some key indicators that show when your plants need repotting. So the first plant that I'm going to repot is this one. You can see that it's quite big for its pot first of all, but one of the key signs that this needs repotting is you can see that the roots are starting to come out of the pot. This is a really clear sign that the plant is getting too big for its pot and generally needs repotting. Another sign is that this plant is quite big for its pot and it's getting slightly uneven. See how it's kind of tipping to one side? Now, one of the reasons for this is just because it's trying to reach the light, but also I want to ensure that it's really sturdy in its pot. So I'm just going to give it slightly more space to grow, and a bigger pot also means more soil at the top. So you can just ensure that it has a lot of space. One of the really important things to remember when repotting your plants is that even though they need a bigger pot, you never want to go too big when changing their pots. So you just want to go up one pot size or maybe two, depending on the plant. So for this one, you can see this is the size of the pot at the moment, and I'm just going to put it into one that's this size. So you can see it's not too much bigger at all. First, all you want to do is get a small amount of soil and put that at the bottom of the new pot. So as the roots are growing out of the pot, to remove it from this one, sometimes it's a bit tricky. You kind of just have to maneuver it and kind of squash it each side gently. Take it out. It should come out quite easily with those roots still intact. And then you can loosen those roots by just kind of massaging it at the bottom, which loosens a bit of the soil, and this will just encourage it to grow into its new pot. Then you just want to put it in there, press it firmly down, and then simply fill it in with new soil. And you want to do a little bit at a time, otherwise it will be unbalanced in the pot. So you just gently want to go around. And this is why I like to do it with my hands as well, because it allows you to get into all of those little spaces around the leaves and all of the different small stems of the plant. So there you go, you can see that it's really sturdy in that new pot. It's perfectly in the center as well, and it should be more comfortable growing now too. So now I'm going to use this pot, which is what that other plant was in, to repot this succulent. So you can see it's completely growing sideways. To be honest, I'm not too sure why. I think it might be growing towards the light. So I'm just going to try and repot it so that it has a bit more space and it's a bit more buried in its pot. And hopefully having that extra space and support will encourage it to grow vertically up instead of over to the side. So again, just get a bit of soil to add to the bottom. If there's any dead bits on the top of the soil, which is completely normal, you just want to remove those. Massage the roots, break up that bit of soil, and then place it in the pot. And with succulents, you don't need to worry if you lose some of the leaves. By losing a leaf, it doesn't harm the overall health of the plant. So you can see that it's now a lot more stable in its pot. It's not quite growing over to the side as it was before. Only time will tell if this plant will be okay. I think I'm going to put it in a position that gives it a bit more sunlight too, but at least now it has more space to grow and expand. So one of the other plants that I'm going to put in a new pot today are my aloe vera babies, or pups as they're actually known. So if you've been following me for a while, you might have seen that my huge aloe vera plant had 4 babies. So she had 2 which I removed, propagated in water, and then another 2 which I did the same for. Water propagation is a really good idea for if you want your plant cuttings to grow roots. Propagated plants will often not be able to grow roots and grow their leaves at the same time. So even though these pups have grown amazing roots and are doing really well, the actual plant isn't growing too well, and to be honest doesn't have much space space in here either. I want to be a bit cautious with these because they're my favourite plant and I've never planted them in soil before. Even though the aloe vera mum is doing really well, it's completely different with the pups. So I'm going to plant these two, which were the first two and have a stronger root system at the moment. I'm going to plant those in soil, leave the other two in water and just see how these two go. I'm going to plant both of the aloe vera pups in one pot together. For these, I am going to give them a bit of help with this organic rooting powder. It will just help for the cuttings to establish in the soil. So you just want to fill your pot with soil. Once you've got your soil in, all you need to do with this is you use the lid to make a hole where you put the roots in. Then you take the lid off and you can see it's just like a powder, and all you do is dip it in. Obviously it's wet from the water propagation, so it will stick. Take it out and then place it in that hole. Packing the soil around it, making sure it's deep enough so that it stands up. Now I'll do the other one. You can see that hole. Take the second aloe pup. I'll just show you the root system on that. Again, just dip it in the rooting powder, make sure the roots are covered, shake it off, take it out, put it down into that hole. I'm just going to get a bit more soil. Ensure they're really stable in the pot. Wish them luck and hopefully they will do well. The final plant that I'm going to repot is this one, which has the most beautiful leaves and is one of my favourite plants. It needs repotting because the roots are definitely growing out, but also you'll see that it has these, which are incredible nitrogen holding root nodules, which are completely healthy and good for the plant. So I'm just going to put it in a slightly bigger pot so that it has more space to grow and more space for those lovely roots. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful, and hopefully you'll be able to recognise the signs for when your plants need repotting to ensure that they can really thrive. If you have any questions at all, just let me know.